Good morning, everybody. My name is Irene Sitine. I'm here to present my persuasive speech on high school dropouts, which is on the rise in the United States. Every 29 seconds, another student gives up on school, resulting in more than 1 million American high school students who drop out every year. Over 1 million of the students who enter 9th grade each fall fail to graduate with their peers 4 years later. In fact, about 7,000 students drop out every school day. Perhaps this statistic was acceptable 50 years ago, but the era in which a high school dropout could earn a living wage has ended in the United States. Dropouts significantly diminish their chances to secure a good job and a promising future. Moreover, not only do the individuals themselves suffer, but each class of dropouts is responsible for substantial financial and social costs to the communities, states, and the country in which they live. Statistics. Although graduation rates are a fundamental indicator of how schools are ultimately performing, only recently have those rates been rigorously scrutinized and the extent of the crisis in America's high school being revealed. For decades, schools and districts published misleading or inaccurate graduation rates, and as a result, the American public knew little of the scope and gravity of the problems faced by far too many of the nation's high schools. Reputable independent research has exposed alarming low graduation rates that were previously hidden behind inaccurate calculations and inaccurate data. Why do students drop out? While there is no single reason that students drop out, research indicates that difficult transitions to high school, deficient basic skills, and lack of engagement serve as prominent barriers to graduation. Most dropouts are engaged on the path to failure in the middle grades and engage in behavior that strongly correlates to dropping out in high school. Various researchers have identified specific risk factors such as low attendance or a failing grade, which can identify future dropouts in some cases as early as 6th grade. 9th grade serves as a bottleneck for many students who begin their freshman year only to find that their academic skills are insufficient for high school level work. Up to 40% of 9th grade students in cities with the highest dropout rates repeat 9th grade. Only 10 to 15% of those repeaters go on to graduate. Academic success. Academic success in 9th grade coursework is highly predictive of eventual graduation. It is even more telling than demographic characteristics of prior academic achievement. Unfortunately, many students are not given the extra support they need to successfully make the transition to high school. As a result, over 1/3 of all dropouts are lost in 9th grade. The 6 million secondary students who comprise the lowest 25% of achievement are 20 times more likely to drop out of high school than students in the top performing quartile. Both academics and social engagement are integral components of successfully navigating the education pipeline. Research shows that a lack of student engagement is predictive of dropping out, even after controlling for academic achievement and student background. Impact of dropouts on the nation's economic outlook. Cutting the dropout rate in half would yield $45 billion annually in new federal tax revenues or cost savings, according to a recent report by Columbia University Center for Benefit Cost Studies of Education at Teachers College. We can begin to address these issues and reduce the number of high school dropouts, which, if not addressed, the U.S. high school dropouts crisis poses one of the greatest threats to the nation's economic growth and competitiveness in the global spectrum. If U.S. high schools and colleges raise the graduation rates of Hispanics, African Americans, and Native American students to the level of white students by 2020, the potential increase in personal income would add more than $310 billion to the U.S. economy. Preventing school dropouts. Long-term commitment. Students at high risk for dropping out typically have a history of academic and behavioral problems. In an effort to establish positive school ties for each student, exemplary programs. 1. Establish a curriculum emphasizing skill acquisition and focus on the individual academic and social needs of each student. 2. Provide ongoing counseling, including opportunities for students to learn about proper behavior rather than only punishing inappropriate behavior. 3. Facilitate students' active participation in sports, talent shows, and other school-sponsored extramural activities. And finally, systematically monitor the progress of each student towards graduation. Outreach and support for families. Families represent a valuable source of support for school programs. Exemplary programs include several innovative practices that enlist families' active involvement. These enable families to be partners with teachers in educating their children, value and address the diversity of families, and form family support groups and assist parents in assessing needed services. A call to action. It is a unique moment in education policy. From the highest level of leadership, the President and the U.S. Secretary of Education. Here is a call to action to address the high school crisis, focus on the lowest performing school, and graduate student college and career ready. State-led movement to develop common standard and assessment offers the nation an opportunity to tread incremental changes for collaborative efforts with the power to truly transform American education. It is time to harness this progress and momentum and convert commitment proposal into a reauthorized Elementary and Secondary Education Act, strategically designed to address the high school crisis and move the nation towards the goal of all students graduating from high school ready for college and careers. Thank you.